During last year's Sim Racing Expo, SIMAGIC showcased its vision for its new lineup of hardware, and it all revolves around modularity and customization. The NeoX Hub is the newest product from SIMAGIC, and it encompasses this modular concept to a T. This is a wheel hub that can be used as the base for a large number of different steering wheel combinations, and unlike many wheel hubs, you have much more control over how you configure your wheel. You have a choice of shifter style and placement, compatibility with most third-party wheel rims, and the option to use this wheel hub with almost any third-party brand. SIMAGIC have been kind enough to send over a bunch of items for review, so let's take a look. Amongst the goodies that I have are the NeoX Hub itself, the MagLink adapter, as I'm going to be using this wheel hub with my Fanatec wheelbase, and then I have the 2-paddle modular shifter add-on and a SIMAGIC wheel rim. Opening up the NeoX Hub, you'll be presented with a selection of stickers, the quick guide, and a sticker sheet to customize the buttons. You of course get the hub itself, which is primarily constructed from a composite carbon fiber material, and it comes pre-installed with a SIMAGIC quick release. The hub features a range of different inputs, including 8 RGB backlit push buttons, 2 thumb encoders, 2 front-facing encoders, a couple of funky style switches, and an LED rev bar. The paddle shifters come in their own box, and include a really good variety of paddle styles. You have different options to choose from, including metal, plastic, or carbon fiber, and SIMAGIC also include a couple of expansion pieces and spacers for added adjustability. I've got the MagLink connector, which is SIMAGIC's answer for third-party compatibility. This essentially replaces the pre-installed quick release and includes all the connections to allow the NeoX Hub to function even without a SIMAGIC wheelbase. Finally, completing the build that I have is the P330R wheel rim. This is a pretty standard and really affordable circular rim, which is fully compatible with this hub. SIMAGIC do have other rims available, or most third-party wheel rims or aftermarket rims are also compatible. So how much does this NeoX Hub cost, you ask? Well, it costs $199 or €179, and that will give you the hub itself, which includes the pre-installed quick release. The modular design that SIMAGIC are using means that you can choose to pair the hub with a set of paddle shifters with a few different options to choose from. You could buy a single paddle shifter kit for $40 or a 2-paddle shifter kit for $55. There are also 2 other paddles which will be available in the future, and these include a 3-paddle shifter and a push-pull style shifter. The modular system also applies to the quick release, and if you're not using a SIMAGIC wheelbase, you can use the MagLink system to transmit the data, which costs just under $20. Comparing this price to other wheel hubs from different brands comes out pretty competitive. Brands such as Fanatec, Acertec, Logitech, Cube Controls and more all sell similar style wheel hubs, but the majority of these cost a fair bit more than this SIMAGIC hub. For example, the Fanatec Club Sport Universal Hub V2 costs $300, which is a full $100 more than the NeoX, and it doesn't offer as many inputs. Possibly the most comparable third-party hub is the Acertec button box, and their entry-level model is the La Prima at €235. Again, more expensive than the NeoX. Logitech do also have a wheel hub which is priced lower than this hub, and while that is a great option, you can't use it with racing wheels other than Logitech, and the overall build quality isn't quite on par with this SIMAGIC hub or some of the other brands I've mentioned. Now, with such a modular design, the first job is to install everything. While 4 individual boxes of hardware can seem pretty daunting, the installation is actually pretty straightforward, as you get all of the tools and screws needed included in the boxes. The first thing to do is assemble our shifters. You get a few different styles to choose from, and a spacer panel giving you a little bit extra adjustability. I've chosen to go with the carbon fiber paddles for both the shifters and dual clutch. Installation is as simple as securing the paddles to the shifter module with 2 screws for each paddle, and then repeating this step for the other side. The hub itself has covers over the shifter panels which need removing, and that's just a process of unscrewing 2 connecting bolts, and inside you'll find a connection point. This is where the cable from the shifter attaches to the hub, and with that in place, we can mount the shifter paddles using the 2 bolts we just removed. Next up, we've got the quick release replacement. And a quick word if you are using a MOZA wheelbase, the pre-installed SIMAGIC QR does fit a MOZA QR perfectly, and you can run data directly from the USB port on the rear of the SIMAGIC wheel, so you won't actually need the MagLink accessory. For my use, I'm opting to use the Fanatec Club Sport DD Plus wheelbase, so I do need to install a Fanatec hub and the MagLink panel. I've got the podium hub, which simply bolts on using the countersunk screws provided by SimMagic. Then we have to remove the pre-installed quick release, which is as simple as removing 4 bolts. Although inside there are 2 connectors which you do also have to remove, but just be careful pulling the quick release away from the hub to avoid damaging these 2 connection points. We then reverse the process and connect the MagLink cable to the hub before installing our whole quick release. What I've ended up here with is the SimMagic hub mounted securely to the podium hub and the QR2 with the MagLink panel sandwiched in between. Then it's time to choose your wheel rim. Most rims are compatible, including this Logitech RS wheel rim that I have got here. You also get a choice of bolt covers, with the circular cover being included with the hub, and the triangular plate which you can see is included with the P330R wheel rim. I think the overall design of the NeoX Hub is pretty well considered. The button placement gives you a very universal layout that suits most disciplines within sim racing. You also get a lot more functionality with this hub compared to most competitors. The main body of the hub itself utilises a composite carbon fibre material, which is something we've seen before on the GT Neo wheel. It doesn't quite feel as robust as real carbon fibre or metal, but it's definitely a step up from plastic, and I do rather like the texture. I also like the choice to not include icons on the buttons, and this is an option that I think every steering wheel manufacturer should do. This leans further into the customization side of SimMagic's ethos, and you can simply use the included sticker sheet to assign your own icons to the buttons. As a whole, this isn't a super flashy wheel hub that screams "look at me." Instead, you get a very solid focus on high build quality and an excellent input selection. One area I've been really impressed with is the shifter modules. Priced at just $55, you get multiple paddles, allowing you to configure the shifters in a variety of ways. All of the paddles feel pretty nice with a sleek design and ergonomic shape. My favourite option is the metal paddles, as they feel incredibly high quality thanks to the textured design. Although the 2 metal shifter paddles were just a little bit on the small side for me, so I opted for the carbon fibre ones instead. You get a lot of adjustability thanks to the extender plate and the spacers, so you should be able to find a really comfortable position. Now, following my high praise of the shifters, the MagLink adapter is equally impressive. It costs under $20 and opens up a world of compatibility. The design of the magnetic connection is really neat, and it makes it so easy to swap or remove the wheel very quickly. There is also a pretty neat extension cable included, so you don't need to stretch the coiled USB cable too far, and this is a really small but very appreciated inclusion. Now, you do get a wide option of wheel rims, from SimMagic's own rims to third-party wheels, so I won't dwell too much on the P330R that I've been sent. As a whole, the rim feels pretty nice to use, it's a good size at 313mm, and it uses aluminium throughout to ensure rigidity. My only real letdown with this wheel is the seam that visibly runs across the leather. This detracts a little bit from the overall quality and could have been avoided. When I compare it to a similar MOZA wheel, having no seam really improves the appearance. Now, as I mentioned earlier in this review, the NeoX Hub is possibly one of the most compatible wheel hubs around. There's a dedicated USB port on the rear of the wheel that lets you connect the hub directly to your PC for easy compatibility. Or you can use the MagLink adapter to connect to any third-party quick release. This allows for data transfer directly to your PC and the use of SimHub Software. The front of the wheel features a 6x70mm mounting pattern, which allows you to choose from most third-party wheel rims. While the circular wheel that I was sent is fine, I'm much more of an F1 and GT sim racer, so I actually preferred swapping this out for the Logitech RS rim, which fits perfectly. Unlike many of its direct competitors, SimMagic has gone the extra step to ensure its products are compatible with the SimHub software, and this opens up a whole new way of interacting with your sim rig. Within SimHub, you can add the NeoX Hub like any other device, and then configure the buttons and inputs to control various elements of your rig. I have the 3D wrap dashboard mounted next to my wheel, and SimHub allows me to program inputs on the wheel to change the dash page, adjust the brightness, and change the dashboard actions. When it comes to changing the colours of the LEDs on the hub, you can do this either via SimHub or through SimMagic's own SimPro software. SimPro works as well as any other brand software and gives you slightly more granular control over the settings, which I do really appreciate. A perfect example of this is that you can actually change the input codes for all of the buttons and inputs, which is a feature I'd like every brand to include. There's nothing worse than jumping into a game after swapping wheels and your inputs have all changed due to the different button codes. If you have multiple SimMagic wheels, you can go in and adjust the button codes for each wheel, so make sure that they match and give you better continuity in game. SimPro also allows the correction of profiles or presets for really easy switching, along with individual telemetry control and colour choices across every input. And this brings me onto the performance of the NeoX Hub in-game. And I have to say, for a sub $200 wheel hub, it performs really well. I won't take this whole wheel apart, but there is a reinforced 5mm steel plate internally, which is included to ensure there are no flex or structural issues. This lets you use the wheel with any high torque wheelbase, and during my time with the wheel, everything felt rock solid. All inputs feel great to interact with, which is impressive given the relatively low price of this wheel. Pressing the buttons is incredibly satisfying, and I'd go as far as saying that the NeoX Hub has some of the nicest button action of any brand. There's very little travel and a really satisfying click. I do appreciate the inclusion of 2 additional thumb encoders, although it would have been a little bit nicer to have an additional push function on the encoders, which is something many other wheels offer. Around the back, the shifters are incredibly well dampened. They're some of the quietest shifter paddles of any wheel I've used, yet they don't feel overly dampened or squishy when activated. The shift lights across the top of the wheel are also bright with really sharp edges, and again these are fully customizable in both colour and behaviour. And that brings me to my final verdict of this NeoX Hub. Normally, when reviewing products, I'm looking at them inside a bit of a bubble, as most brands have their own ecosystem. SimMagic really breaks this by making the NeoX Hub accessible for sim racers within any ecosystem. The MagLink adapter really opens up this wheel hub to all PC sim racers, regardless of what wheelbase you're running. And in that context, and for its low price point, this NeoX Hub is a fantastic choice to build from. I struggle to find any other brand offering this level of functionality, quality, and compatibility that this hub provides at this price point. Factor in all of the accessories, the NeoX Hub, the dual shifter paddles, and MagLink that I'm running costs around $270. And then you have to factor in the price of a wheel rim on top of that. But to me, that is pretty insane value for a wheel hub that can literally do it all.